Welcome to The Explainer, everyone. Today, we're putting on a really high-stakes hat. We're stepping into the shoes of an NFL general manager. Imagine you're right there in the war room, evaluating the absolutely critical, franchise-altering selections of the 2026 NFL Draft. You see, if you really want to understand how a multi-billion-dollar franchise is built from the ground up, you don't start by looking at the late rounds. No way. You look at the premium capital. You look right at the very top of the board. And it really all starts with one massive, overarching question. How exactly do you build a championship NFL roster? Because when you're sitting in that room, man, the clock is ticking, the phones are ringing off the hook, and millions of dollars, not to mention your own job security, are literally on the line. You aren't just out there picking good football players. You're acquiring fundamental building blocks. You're hunting for very specific solutions to championship-level problems. All right, let's dive into the tape and break down this board. Here's your definitive top 5 from the 2026 draft. At number 1, we've got Fernando Mendoza, quarterback out of Indiana. Number 2 is David Bailey, a seriously disruptive edge rusher from Texas Tech. 3 belongs to Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love. 4 is Carnell Tate, an incredibly polished wide receiver out of Ohio State. And rounding out the top 5, his college teammate, hard-hitting linebacker Arvell Reese. Now, this isn't just a random list of names. It's a real-time snapshot of modern NFL team-building philosophy in action. Number 1. To truly understand this philosophy, we've got to start right at the top, the first overall pick. The franchise quarterback. Look, as a GM, I'm not just drafting a guy with a good arm. I'm drafting the absolute engine of my entire offense. In today's league, if you don't have an elite processor under center, someone who navigates the pocket with absolute poise, you're basically running on a treadmill. You have to find that one signal caller who can elevate the 52 other men in that locker room. And that brings us to Fernando Mendoza. Taking Mendoza first overall isn't just about his elite processing speed, or his throwing anticipation, or his raw arm talent. No, it's about a front office happily staking their entire reputation, their whole careers really, on his shoulders. When a GM pulls the trigger on this pick, they are securing the absolute most valuable position in all of sports before they do literally anything else. Pick number 2. Once that franchise quarterback is off the board, the draft room strategy naturally pivots. We flip to the other side of the ball. The edge rusher. Think about it. If your number 1 goal is acquiring an elite passer, goal number 2 has to be finding a reliable countermeasure to the other team's top quarterback. You need a human missile, someone with the bend, the burst, and the sheer power to absolutely wreck the offensive backfield in under 2.5 seconds. That is exactly why David Bailey was the second player off the board. The guy has a generational get-off and incredible hand violence. He represents that foundational defensive pillar. It's like a giant chess match, right? You've got the guy throwing the passes and you've got the guy hunting the passer. This right here is premium positional value. It's smart, it's safe, and it is 100% necessary for a winning roster. Pick number 3. Now things get interesting. The obvious premium positions are gone, the war room starts to sweat a little bit, and this is exactly where front office philosophies start to clash. The Arizona Cardinals were on the clock, and they went with Jeremiah Love, the running back out of Notre Dame. Now, from a pure scouting perspective, Love is an absolutely electric playmaker. His contact balance and home run speed are off the charts. But if you're a modern analytics-driven GM, your jaw might have just hit the floor. Drafting a running back inside the top 3, that is the ultimate front office dilemma right there. Unsurprisingly, the media reaction was incredibly swift. ESPN analyst Dan Graziano hit the nail on the head when he said, "Awesome player, terrible pick." And honestly, that quote perfectly captures the intense, immediate scrutiny GMs face. Graziano isn't knocking Jeremiah Love's talent at all. He's explicitly questioning the resource allocation. Why on earth would you spend top 3 draft capital on a position that has a notoriously short shelf life? So it really boils down to a direct conflict. Undeniable elite talent versus the declining positional value of running backs. The Cardinals GM looked at the board and essentially said, you know what, Love's game-breaking ability outweighs the modern reluctance to draft running backs this high. It is a massive gamble. I mean, if Love becomes a Hall of Famer, the GM looks like a total genius. But if he gets injured, or if his production gets easily replaced by some 4th-round pick a couple years down the line, that GM is out of a job. Simple as that. Picks 4 and 5. As we move on to these next 2 selections, we're going to see another absolutely crucial pattern emerge in talent acquisition strategy. Just take a look at the schools represented in the top 5. There's a totally staggering statistic here. Indiana, Texas Tech, and Notre Dame each claim 1 pick, so that's 20% apiece.
But a massive 40% of the top 5 came from just one single program, Ohio State. That level of dominance is incredible. And trust me, it's completely by design.
The first part of that 40% is pick number 4, Carnell Tate, wide receiver out of Ohio State. When you're a GM and you need immediate offensive help, you rely on elite, blue-chip college programs that are already running pro-style concepts. Ohio State has basically become a literal factory for NFL wide receivers. Drafting Tate isn't just about grabbing a fast guy. You're drafting a highly polished route runner who already has an expansive route tree and who's been coached to professional standards since the day he stepped on campus. And rounding out our top 5 is pick number 5, Arvell Reese, a linebacker, also from Ohio State. Honestly, this is just brilliant team building. By selecting Reese right after Tate, a team is recognizing the massive value of the environment these athletes come from. GMs absolutely love drafting players from winning cultures who already have proven lateral agility and rock-solid tackling fundamentals. It brings a built-in standard of excellence and accountability directly into your NFL locker room.
Okay, so let's pull back from the individual names for a second. Let's look at the macro strategy that these 5 decisions represent for a franchise. What we're looking at here is the blueprint for a championship. It's not random. It is a highly calculated distribution of high-value assets.
Notice how methodically these picks checked off the foundational needs of a winning team. You've got passing secured at number 1, pass rush at 2, playmaking addressed at 3 and 4, and tackling plus defensive anchoring locked down at 5. In just 5 picks, the most critical pillars of a football team have been established with premium, pro-ready talent. Which leaves us with one final, undeniable question to ponder. Did these 5 picks just shift the balance of power in the NFL? Think about it. We're talking about a franchise quarterback, an elite edge rusher, a controversial but completely electric running back, and 2 pro-ready stars from an absolute college powerhouse. The foundation is poured. But how these players adapt to the brutal speed and reality of the NFL, well, that's going to determine everything. Keep this explainer in mind as you watch these rookies take the field, because you now know exactly what their GMs are expecting of them. Thanks so much for joining me to break this all down.